This is a follow-up video to the overview video that I produced a few months ago. So if you haven't seen the first video, click the link up in the corner and go check that out. It has chapter headings that will take you directly to whatever part you want. You don't have to watch it in order. It is a longer video, but it is intended to be comprehensive for those actually considering using this and giving you the information you need to decide on whether this machine is right for you. I'm assuming that since you're here on this follow-up video, that you've already watched the video. Maybe you bought one and you want more information. Maybe you're considering it and you want more information. And this is some follow-up after using the machine. I have one more quick suggestion for drying success, and that's when you are drying a fairly medium to large load, you're going to have some struggle getting all of the load dry at once. As you can see, I have here 3 queen-sized flannel sheets, and I have washed them. This machine can certainly wash all 3, but when I washed all 3, and then did an automatic dry, I've had this happen a couple of times, it just can't get all 3 of them dry. It's just too much bulk in the machine for the machine to dry everything properly. I let it go through a full wash cycle, and I let it do the dry cycle on its own, the automatic normal dry cycle that it predicts, and everything comes out a little bit damp, and I can continue to keep fighting that with all 3 pieces in there. And I'll be fighting that for forever because there's a limit to the capacity of this machine to effectively dry. And if you want to butt heads up against that limit all the time, you're going to be ultimately frustrated with this machine. But I've found a solution that works for me. I'll tell you what that is. As you can see, just these 3, when they're fully dried and fully cleaned, that is going to be much higher than the limit of the wash dry cycle limit line that it has, about the 2/3 mark. Yes, I can squeeze all of these in there when they're dirty, and I can push them down below that line, and I can be below the line, but that doesn't mean that I haven't physically exceeded the capacity of this machine to dry effectively. So what I do is I do the full wash cycle. I usually, this is full of cat hair and humans sleeping in it. So I use the steam cycle to try and get that dander and detritus out. And that turns it into, well, like a 2-hour wash. And then because it's so large and full, it does about another 2.5 hours of dry cycle. So the full wash and dry cycle when it comes up, I think was about 4 hours and 45 minutes. And then I just walk away and I come back. And when it's done, what I do is I take all 3 pieces out. They're all a little bit damp. These gray ones tend to be much nearer to dry than this older flannel. So different materials are going to behave differently. And then what I do is I put 1 in at a time for another 30 minutes only, dry only cycle. I choose the dry time. I turn off the spin because I've already spun out all the water that I can spin. And I just do them 1 at a time. This is another 30 minutes, this is another 30 minutes, and that's another 30 minutes, and I get all 3 of them dry. And that works for me. Of course, this is going to resist that ability to give you instant gratification. Some of the users are going to want to just be able to throw everything in a dryer and get it dry and not have to deal with this, but that doesn't work with this machine. You need a larger vented dryer to do that sort of thing. This machine, it just doesn't have the ability to do a very large load, especially with 3 large and bulky items, and get them all dry at the same time. I could also wash them and then throw each of them in the dryer individually on their own cycle and do that. And that probably would be more efficient. When you have a big queen size sheet or 2, you are probably going to be pushing the limits at about 2 sheets, and 3 sheets is definitely over the limit, especially with these flannel sheets. And again, I wash these on the normal cycle. I don't wash these on the bedding cycle because I don't consider them bedding or bulky/large. They are just a normal cotton type of fabric. They're not particularly awkward or bulky, especially since they're a sheet. If it was a comforter or a blanket or something that could get heavy and off balance, then I would choose the bedding slash bulky slash large cycle. But I just wash these in the normal cycle. I add steam and I can do a dry cycle directly all at the beginning and just walk away. If I choose to dry these in the bedding cycle and add steam, then I have to wash them and then I have to come back and choose a dry cycle afterwards because I can't do bedding and automatically add a dry cycle into it.